Hi, August 7th, 2023, Chad Schmidt, Unite the Divided podcast. The goal for me moving forward will be to create a platform that's anti-tyranny, pro-human flourishing. What does that mean? Sounds really simple, but it's not. We will be creating a demo process of how this think tank might work. But imagine this. Go back to 2020 before the pandemic hit. We were given a lot of information from the news, media, public institutions, politicians, thought leaders, influencers. The general allowed consensus basically said, we're all going to die unless we take this one particular course of action. We were all supposed to simultaneously not accept treatments that had worked in the past on a very similar virus and viruses that have occurred naturally over time. This particular virus is not natural, it came out of a lab. But aside from that, the goal for me is how can we assure ourselves that we will make a better decision next time as individual humans. The public institutions, the thought leaders that were telling us we all must take the same course of action, turned out they were brutally wrong. And the reality of it is none of them have apologized, nor have they offered any different direction as to what would be different if we run into a pandemic part 2. So for me, over the past couple years, I've been looking at the silver lining of where we've been and acknowledging the people that were raising red flags and sounding the alarm for things that they saw that were going on that they didn't believe were either true or the best course of action. There were a lot of brave doctors, scientists, independent thinkers, journalists on both sides of the aisle. Take out the politics. And they were saying, hey, something's not right. We need to talk about this. We need to go a different direction, or we at least need to consider other options. Many of those people were censored, canceled. Very extreme measures were taken to quiet them. So, I, for one, believe censorship is probably one of the worst atrocities that can ever happen to humans. And that's why, like or dislike our America and or the Constitution, the First Amendment was put first for a reason. We the people must have the right to have a freedom of thought, expression, and discussion. And so the idea for me is, okay, let's create a network. Let's create a platform. Let's create an apparatus. And yet let's unite the people, the doctors, the scientists that got most of the things right over the last few years, and put them on a panel, let's say a think tank. And that away, and if that platform and apparatus is protected and owned by all people, not by any corporation, any government, or any other paid for narrative, can't we ask that platform what the best course of action might be based on their intuition and the things that they learned from this last 3 years? So let's take that and advance it. I think we can do that pretty easily. All it would take is if you, as an individual, wanted to be a part of this network, we could create a platform and we could say we're going to invite top 20, 50 scientists or whatever number you want to put on it. We're going to put a general, frequently asked questions out there in case, what if the next thing happens? What do we do? What is the course of action we need to take? That way you as an individual citizen can choose to follow the people that got it mostly right on that particular instance. And anyone that we put on this panel would first have to agree to, if something were to go wrong with something that they say, they need to admit they're wrong so we can all make appropriate adjustments to our course of action. Don't we want people that can admit that they're wrong and do it quickly? Isn't that the way we stay as safe as possible? Why have we doubled down on something that is so terrible? And let's take out who's creating that narrative. Let's take out all the profit. Let's take out pharmaceutical. Let's take out all this stuff. Why do you want to listen to somebody that had gotten it so wrong and that's made no adjustment to change or do anything different? So the idea that I'm going to be taking out to different venture capitalists will be a functional truth-seeking apparatus. The idea out of the gate, the battle plan, will include a artificial intelligence, large language model assisted think tank to where we will create chatbots, basically, whose job is to 24 hours, 7 days a week, go out, resource all information, pull the information off of all internet sources, all medical papers, all trials that were done over the last 3 years, if we're talking about pandemic 2.0. That way, all information is in one source spot. This platform will not be owned by any corporation, any government, any individual. It will be owned by all people. It will be auditable by all people, and it will be editable by all people. All people will have a vote, an up-down. If you're familiar with Reddit, you'll be given a device of some sort in the future, which will be unhackable. You will not be able to replicate it. So basically, it's one person, one vote. And every person will be allowed to ask questions to this large language model. And every person will be able to provide input. And that input and those questions will be weighed over time. So where if you're a journalist and you're focused on, let's say, pandemic 2.0, and you're the one that's asking all the best questions, demanding the correct answers, or whenever you're asking the wrong questions or you say something that's not correct, if you're course correcting, you can be up and down voted yourself accordingly. Now, obviously, privacy is a thing. And so we know there's technology now that's basically encrypted blockchain. So if you say have like a key fob to your car and you have it in your pocket, and let's say it's only the system that you're working on will only work if you have the key fob that fits your biometric your biometric self, or even if it was a key fob that anybody could use, it can only be used once for that one particular question. So anyway, that's kind of the general idea. So if 1,000 questions come in, we can use large language models to get predictive answers. We can then introduce a human element to, say, the top 30 scientists and doctors or red flag raisers or alarm sounders who got things mostly right over the last few years in pandemic 1.0. And they can give us what they think is the best path forward. Now, that doesn't mean that it's the only way, that path's the only way. These doctors and scientists will actually be using science, and they will acknowledge, or they won't be on the panel, that no science is settled. So, putting this idea out there because I will be looking for venture capital soon. The venture capital will be used to hire the next people that need to be hired to create the platform, to create the network, to create the administration, to create the however the incentive model will work, as far as people that are participating on the platform, similar to other models where people can get paid based on the value they bring to the network. We need to come up with that. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I've taught myself how to build websites, but this website will be, and this apparatus is far beyond my headlights. But the idea, I believe, is a good one. And the smartest people that I've talked to, have been able to talk to thus far, I've not had one person that wasn't somewhat interested, and most people that I've talked to have been extremely interested. And so, anyway, if you have any questions, my name's Chad Schmidt. You probably know me if you have this video. If not, you can reach me at chad@unitethedivided.com. chad@unitethedivided.com. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. In order for this to work, we're going to need a lot of buy-in from venture capital that's not tied to personal interest. So the goal for me would be able to raise enough money to create the platform, to repay that money based on the success of the platform. But whoever gives the capital will have no input. They will not be able to sway our direction. They will not be able to say we can't ask certain questions or go after certain things. That's how we got into this mess. That's why we didn't get the right answers during the pandemic 1.0. It's because money influence, corporate influence, government, corporate coercion tried to steer the ship towards profit. This platform will not be about profit. But the people that do it right on the platform, the people that provide the most value to the rest of us, will find a way to make it profitable. Let's do it.